What is up, podheads? Back with another episode of the Body of Slay podcast. This is round 2 for the intro, right, boys? We're doing it again.
We haven't done this in a long time.
My name is Tony, joined as always by Anthony and Nate. How you guys doing tonight? Happy New Year.
I'm back this week. Happy New Year to everyone. I missed last week's intro. I'm back.
Back in the bag. Yeah, feeling good, man. Feeling good. Let's do it.
And this is part 2 of our conversation with Dave Buckner, the original drummer of Papa Roach. We talked a ton about their their come up, their getting bigger in their hometown of Vacaville, and then getting signed to a major label and Infest dropping and all that, and on the rocket ship that they had on last week's episode. So if you haven't listened to it, go check it out. But this week we dig into more of that and a little further down the line with them, right?
We do. We pick it up right when the rocket ship is actually as the rocket ship is going, right? So we start it with, hey, Infest is rip roaring, then what? And none of us have ever been in that position to like follow up this huge, massive record. And I think they knocked it out of the fucking park. Lovehatetragedy, I think it's technically album 3 for them, but it doesn't fall into like the sophomore slump of major labels to me at all. It rips.
Yeah, I agree. We're redoing the intro because we were actually breaking down the record for a little too long. And I was like, let's shorten that up a little bit, guys, and just tell everybody how we feel about it. One of my favorite, probably my favorite Papa Roach record. I remember buying it the day it came out. So really excited to get the insight from somebody who was creating it and lived that roller coaster, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I remember when it dropped and, just digging into it for the episode and to talk to Dave about it in depth was a gift. It really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, stoked on this.
I have it above Infest. Do you guys have it just below?
Yeah, for me, this is Papa Roach's second best record. Infest takes it. I think if you look at that era, like it checks every box. And then I don't think a lot of people, including myself, was ready for it. I think it's aged great. Black Clouds. Can we talk about Black Clouds? Is that
We do. It's in there. Don't worry.
All-time record. I think this is as good as it gets for a smash follow-up for this era.
Yeah, I'm a little torn between this and Paramore Sessions, but
Ooh, I like that one too. Speaking my language.
Paramore Session. Yeah, it's so dope. But departure from Infest for sure. But in terms of songwriting and just bangers like the one you just mentioned, Twan, but also Born with Nothing, things like that, just a ripper of a record.
Yeah, so good. So let's we'll stop talking about it because we talk about it for the next hour with Dave Buckner, former drummer, OG member of Papa Roach.
Let's go.
Boom.
So Dave, Infest pops off like you can't imagine. You guys started in the garage, as you said. Is there pressure to deliver post Infest, either industry or internal?
I want to say if there was, here's the thing, man. We were so fortunate to be signed to DreamWorks Records when we were signed to DreamWorks Records, at that time in music history, and where the people that ran that label came from, they all came over from like Warner Brothers and other labels.
Right on.
Like the president of DreamWorks was Mo Austin, who was like Frank Sinatra's manager. I think he signed Jimi Hendrix, Chili Peppers, you know what I mean? And DreamWorks was an artist label. So they were like, whatever you guys want to do, whatever the vision is that you guys want to execute, do it. We support you. And so it was both a blessing and a curse to have that kind of, because it's like, hey, whatever you guys want to do it. We'll back it, but because you hear like the other side of the coin, right? Where like, a band will sign to a label and be like, all right, here's your new music, here's your new image, here's your new, everything. Yep. They get like publicity coach, they get like, media training and image consultant, and they get like a stylist and like all the things, right? And then they have people all up in their writing process, writing music for them. We didn't have any of that. The label was like hands off until we hand the label, whatever we were making, whatever we had cooking in the lab, we hand it over and they go, okay, cool. We're going to put this is what we're putting out. So after the rocket ship ride of Infest, and we go, we come off the road for that. And like, we were all just feeling like number one, like we were so like, it was such a weird time because it was like all our dreams had come true, but yet like we were emotionally broken because like
right on.
We were kind of still those 15-year-old kids that like we wanted the success and we dreamed about it, but it happened so fast that we had we had no idea to acclimate ourselves to like the actual reality of what it's like to be a working musician in a not even just like a popular rock band, but like a world fucking renowned band, like all of a sudden. And so maybe the label took stock of that. And we're like, hey, we don't want to like freak them out, you know, so we'll kind of like let them do whatever they want to do. And so when we went in to make Love Hate Tragedy, number one, the band, the MO for the band, like Tobin says it the best. He's like, the only thing that's consistent with us is that everything's always evolving. So we're never going to put out like the same record twice. We're always going to experiment with different styles. We're going to like bring in shades of this and like, you know, color palette from here and these different textures. And depending on what whoever's listening to whatever at that time, we're going to bring that in. And we didn't want to make a carbon copy of Infest, right? 2020 hindsight, probably should we have just made a carbon copy of Infest? Maybe it might have been better for the sales, and maybe the label would have been a little bit happier at the end of the day. Who knows? But they let us do what we wanted to do, and that record right there with the baby on the cover, Love Hate Tragedy, that was the record we wanted to make at that time. You know what I mean? We wanted to make a more streamlined, almost like retro sounding, like rock album. Kobe wasn't feeling like rapping as much. Like the only song that has real rap on it is a song that was actually written for the Infest sessions called She Loves Me Not. And that's the only song on Love Hate Tragedy that even has any rapping on it. Yeah, the rest of it's all like melodic, you know, more I want to say even like, you know, it's in some places a little bit more. We kind of started kind of like, I don't know, shit. How do I explain it, dude? Like, I don't know. It wasn't Infest Part 2. That, you know, it was just
almost garagey, right?
You know,
Dave? Like,
yeah. I would say so. You know what I mean? Even though, like, I want to say it was more raw, although it was pretty produced, but in a different way than Infest. Infest was actually really fucking raw. Like, if you've ever seen any videos of how Jay produced that album, there's only like a couple tracks going on. When we brought Brendan in to produce Love Hate Tragedy, there was a lot more overdubs. There was a lot more like harmonies. There was a lot more like percussion things happening in the background. Brendan played keyboard on some shit. You know, a lot of more studio tricks. But here's the thing. Like, for instance, when I went in to play my drum track, Brendan said, look, I know there's Pro Tools out there, and they can go in there and quantize and beat detective. At that point, quantize hadn't been around. I don't think we used it on Infest, but there was like some, like, if, let's say there was a late hit or like, you know, there was like a flam, they could take like the sound wave and kind of like line them up. So everything was just a little bit more tighter, you know what I mean? But it was kind of that more granular editing, like with Infest. Brendan came to us with Love Hate, and he's like, dude, if you have a part, he's like, this is what I'm going to do. We're recording your drums to 2-inch tape, and the most I will edit for you is 1/2 of one take. If you do 1/2 of one take and another half of another take, and, you know, you're like, I like the way I played on this one, and I like this from that. Or if you have a complete good take, that's the most I'll do. I'm not going to sit there and like beat your drums up or use samples. So there's no samples over any of those drum sounds. There's no like computer, like it's all like amps, like real like analog effects. There's not really any digital effects on there. Yeah, dude, it was just it was more kind of an old school approach, which is kind of like what we loved about Brendan, because he did Stone Temple Pilots and then Rage Against the Machine. And then he was the engineer on Blood Sugar Sex Magic from the Chili Peppers. So like we were already like familiar with like his kind of like workflow and like what he was about. And we kind of educated ourselves on that. And that's what we wanted for Love Hate. So we came in, and although it's not like it's not produced, it's definitely a produced album, but it's just more of an old school approach to it. Like it's almost like it was something that came out of like, you know, the 70s or
there's some grittiness to
somewhere
it.
in that.
It's stripped down. It feels stripped down.
Yeah. I'd say that. Yeah. So I mean, the thing that I find awesome about that is like when you hear like everything that I play on that record, that's like there's like no drum. Well, even like with Infest, like there's drum samples, but I created my own sample library. So like snare hits and shit, they had me go in and like give like, you know, like snare hits and kick hits and tom hits and whatever. And then we layer that over my performance to create a fatter sound. With Love Hate, there's none of that. It's just raw drums, raw effects, you know, all analog.
I love hearing that because I didn't know that. And I mean, I've been listening to the record since probably the it was Tuesdays back then, the Tuesday that it came out, right? I remember going to buy it. So and putting it into the CD player and driving home and being like, this is different, but I like that it's different. Like they didn't give me Infest 2.0. I'm happy that there's a different sound from these guys, and it has this kind of dual feeling to it. Like there are songs that are kind of upbeat and like we're crushing it. We know how to be as people, and there are songs that are like, shit, like we just rode the rocket ship to the moon. This is harder than we thought it was gonna be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, dude. It's once again, I'll bring up like Toby. Like he's like, dude, he's like, our dreams had come true and we were fucking miserable about all of it. Cause it was just, and then like the songs really reflect that. When you look at like a song like Decompression Period or Life is a Bullet, or like even in the first song, it's like this like super like, like punch up, like, let's fucking go. But he's like, but it's like, if you really like dig deep into the lyrics, like there's like a heavy cynicism in all like that whole record, man. It's like, and it was because it's like, fuck, dude, like this shit's fucking crazy. We don't know how to handle any of it. You know what I mean? And being home, being away from home for so long and coming back to like real life, or what we didn't know what the fuck real life was at that point. We were just like, we were so just all over the place and so like just unanchored from anything that we just had to go with, whatever like we felt in the moment. And that's what's reflected in the song. And a lot of it's like, yeah, dude, there's quite a few songs on that album that I could point to where like if you really look into the lyrics, like there's a heavy cynicism about the music industry as a whole and where we were as people, and like also how, like the beginnings of substance abuse had kind of started, like the ugly side of that had started to show its face a little bit, and that gets talked about on that record. Strained personal, like significant other relationships were strained. The relationships between the four of us as a band were strained. Like we felt there was a lot of tension in there. You know what I mean? And we were just trying to navigate all of that.
You're clearly working your way through some shit. Like you had all your dreams come true, but at the same time, like that's who's equipped for that quick? Like nobody.
Mm-mm.
Like
Nobody.
It's not how
man.
life's supposed to work.
Well, Dave, when we met to talk about this episode, we kind of like observed that Infest is like Jacoby, or I'm sure you contributing to the lyrics. It's like, hey, this happened in the past. Like it's observing what's happened. And then Love Hate Tragedy is like, now I'm older. Now I'm processing it. This is me reacting. And, through that whole thing, like whether it's music industry, relationships, band dynamics, all that, you're processing it. And that's why, like, I have always viewed this as a more mature record because I would assume, well, not assume, you are older. You're not just observing, you're processing and trying to deal with it. And, I mean, Love Hate Tragedy, great name. I'm sure that came from all of that.
Yeah, you want to hear a funny story? And the reason why there's a baby on the cover, given with the headphones and given the horns, is because the original name of the album was supposed to be Born to Rock. And I was the art director. I was the art director for the album. So I created that imagery, and like I flew to New York and worked with the designer Jason Noto, who designed like skate graphics and shit. We came, like I did like all like the rough idea stuff. Like I did like a home photo shoot with a baby doll and stuff like that. And flew to New York, worked with Jason, came up with the whole design. Born to Rock, Born to Rock, Born to Rock. In the like 11th hour and 59 minutes, Jacoby goes, no, dude, I want to change the name to the album to Love Hate Tragedy. And I'm like, the fucking cover makes no sense, dude. What do you mean? It's supposed to be Born to Rock. What the fuck were you going to do? And he's like, fuck it, send it, let's go. And I'm like, all right, let's go, dude. And so that's how we get.
What was the label's reaction when you submitted that?
They loved it. They loved it. Yeah, they were like, yeah. It was like, like for me, like, I don't know, it's just kind of one of those things that came to me. Like, it's weird because there's like this baby on the cover. If you kind of think of like Nirvana's Nevermind, there's that, they have the swimming baby, and then like Notorious B.I.G. has a baby sitting on like a Ready to Die. I think it's a little baby sitting on a white background.
Yeah.
And it's just weird for me to think of that in the context of like those kind of records. And a lot of it, like, it kind of like that image kind of represents where we were too, because it's like it's like, you know, like even you said, it's like, you know, we were just to the music industry and to the whole experience of like being like, you know, a professional rock band, like, you know, doing the job. Like we were like doing a lot of growing up at that time. There was a lot of, like you said, like internalizing like all the information we've just been given and trying to decipher like what's reality. Okay, we knew the story that had happened to us, but obviously we know like this doesn't happen. This is not like how every band's come up goes. This is not the career arc of most band, like basically any other band. And like, how do we decipher like, okay, what's healthy at this, what's not healthy, what's real, what's not real? You know what I mean? I think all those kinds of things influence like that kind of imagery. And then if you look, like the Baby's wearing headphones and the cord goes all the way back, plugs right into a guitar, and it's just like, dude. At the same time, we're just fucking plugged into the music. Like that's it. Like we're these babies, we know nothing. We're trying to figure it all out, but the one thing we are is plugged right in, you know, to the music itself, and that's what mattered at that point.
Well, that makes
Crazy.
that makes the the album cover make more sense finally after all these years
I
that you
know,
changed the
right?
name of the record at the last
Yeah,
minute.
I was always curious about that.
So like you said something earlier that this was all on like this was on your terms, and that was kind of the ethos of the band. This album is living proof of that, right? Like you went with that album cover. She Loves Me Not was from the Infest writing session, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's not like you created a whole new single to satisfy DreamWorks. Like Dave, that didn't
they had
happen
it
at the
already.
time. The opposite happened where they were pressuring bands for singles. That's crazy.
And I think it just goes to, I think it kind of speaks to the strength of the songs we wrote during I mean, I say the Infest sessions, but really like most of that record was written, you know, a lot of those songs are on the EPs leading up to that album. Like if you go back to like 98, we put out 5-track Deep, which had like Revenge and Binge and Thrown Away on it. And then the EP after that, oh no. The next one had Binge. And Revenge, Thrown Away. Oh fuck, dude. I'm almost 50, guys. My brain is not.
That's okay.
Anyway,
No, you're good.
if you're watching or listening at home, you can go back and see what songs from Infest are on 5-track Deep. There's a few. Then if you go to the EP after that, Let Them Know. Binge is on that. Snakes is on that. Walking Through Barbed Wire is on that, which ended up also on Lovehatetragedy. Tightrope, the punk rock version of Tightrope, is on that EP. So like the writing sessions for that, like really the only new songs we wrote. And then, so when we got the Warner Brothers deal, that's when we wrote Dead Cell, She Loves Me Not, Last Resort, and Broken Home. And then one more.
Damn.
And then the only two songs we wrote in pre-production with Jay Baumgartner for Infest were
Angels
and one other one.
Blood Brothers?
I want to say, no, Never Enough.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Never Enough. Yep.
Dude, that album fucking rips so hard.
It does.
It's like an all killer, no filler album.
It's all
dude.
killer,
like,
man.
You know what I mean? And then even like the songs we didn't even put on the record, like ended up being singles later for the second album. That tells you something. You know what I mean? Wild.
Nate, what do you got? You got something burning, man. Dig in,
Yeah,
man.
Nate.
I was thinking because we were. It's like kind of a callback from earlier when you were saying that Jacoby was playing bass, and then all of a sudden he's just singing, or sorry, he's rapping. But like, is he singing on those demos? Because there's a little bit of singing on Infest, but like on Love Hate, like he's singing a lot. So did he just like say, okay, I'm going to start singing now? Like, where did that start? I feel like
Kobe actually, he at the first Papa Roach songs, like when we were still a garage band in high school, like he wasn't rapping yet.
Okay.
He kind of like was doing like melodic. I mean, it was all like I said, like he never had any experience being a singer, so he kind of is self-taught, you know, in that, and just taking influence, you know, like from, I think, like I want to say Mike Patton is a big influence on early Kobe. Mike Ness, you know, from Social D is a big influence on early Kobe stuff. And then when he started bringing in the rap stuff, he was influenced by like Wu-Tang and Funk Dubious, Cypress Hill, these kinds of bands. And so like that kind of, you can kind of hear some of that in his flows, you know what I mean? Early on when he started incorporating rap, but he didn't start off rapping like right from jump. He was just singing just really bad, you know, really rough edge, like just making noise type of stuff. And then for a while he was kind of doing a Mr. Bungle thing. Like when I was out of the band, they did like a a punk rock cassette tape called Potatoes for Christmas with the old lineup. And that one's, it's very like Mr. Bungle, they were all listening to like heavily like John Zorn, and there's a few like other noise, like, crazy band. There's a local band from the Bay Area called Nuclear Rabbit that heavily influenced that era of the music. And then when I came back, I was like, yeah, no, we're gonna fucking like, we're gonna streamline it. We're gonna rip, dude. Yeah, we like, let's go. You know what I mean? And then the more rap rock stuff kind of started taking over. We were very influenced by bands like Chili Peppers, and then like 311, obviously, and then local band like the Deftones. Like even the Deftones were kind of still getting their early, like at the time that we kind of were seeing Deftones as that big brother, like, oh shit, like they got signed in 95 or 94 and then put their album out in 95. And even at that time, like they were still they were still forming, like they weren't a fully formed thing yet. You know what I mean? Like, so you listen to like Adrenaline, and even before Adrenaline, like they're still getting their footing for like what they're going to be. And like, now of course it's like they're an entire language, a musical language unto themselves, dude. And
so
like,
many bands rip them off. So many bands rip them off.
Yeah, dude. I mean, us included too. I mean, like we took a lot, from just that whole scene kind of had a vibe to it. You know what I mean?
Well, but now there's bands that come out now that are Deftones core. Like they are.
Yeah, for sure.
They're clearly influenced by 20 years later of what Deftones has done for the last 25 years. But
for sure.
Getting back to you guys. You have writing credits all across Lovehatetragedy. Did you ever just like sit down and do that? Just like write stuff down? I know you said you put some stuff together here and there and threw it in Jacoby's notebook, but was there ever like, I'm going to sit down and write today so I have stuff to do that with?
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I wrote lyrics all the time. The song Code of Energy, there's a whole middle chunk where there's like a spoken word. Like I wrote that thing. I'm not going to say any of my stuff is like all that great, but it did make it in the song. You know what I mean? Right. So like when I look at it, I'm like, oh man, Dave, like that's what you did? Like, okay. All right. You chose that line? Okay. All right.
But with a Jerry riff over it, that's not bad. Like
yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. But that, and just like word, also just like word choice or tightening up cadence and that kind of thing, helping out in those departments. Or I would come up with a lot of like melodies, like especially like on the next record, Getting Away with Murder, and like that's a whole other episode.
Love that record. Love that record.
There's a lot of me on that, and then probably the song that I wrote like the most on is the last album that I did with them, which is Paramore Sessions.
Which I love that record
right
too.
On.
Yeah.
Which that record, if you put it in a certain order, which I had, it was my intention to do, but the track listing of that album was supposed to be goodbye/suicide letter for myself, because I knew that like at that time I was going through some heavy, dark, deep shit, addiction, divorce, all these things, and I just didn't see a way out of it. And so a lot of those feelings made it into those lyrics, and that album kind of like, if you put it in a certain order, it tracks my downfall into my rock bottom. And then it ends with Roses on My Grave, which is like, if you listen to the words, I'm dead and I'm ascending to heaven. Yeah, it's a whole thing, but yeah, that's another conversation.
Another episode, like you said.
Yeah, both of those records are fucking awesome, and Getting Away and Paramore got me through some shit. So thank you for putting it out there.
We'll get you and Kobe on the next step.
That'd be sick, dude. I'd love to do one of these with Kobe.
Well, Dave, if I look at the songs you have lyrical writing credits to on Love Hate, they're probably the most real song. I mean, that's like not
Decompression Period.
Decompression Period
1
and Black Clouds. Like those two, you can't fake the funk. And I gotta give you your drumming flowers on Born with Nothing. The riffs are and then the cymbal crash, like that kick starts the song. And I know, Tony, you and I, that could be our favorite on the album.
It's my favorite song on the record. Yep.
Born on the Nothing's my all-time favorite. Yeah. Song.
Love that track, Dave.
Yeah,
it's a fucking awesome. It's an anthem. I mean, that's a crowd pleaser anthem, live, built to be played live kind of song, I feel like, right? Like it just gets the whole crowd going.
That was the original, I think, intention behind the song. And I know they still throw it in every now and then, but now it's like they have a stack of hits. You know what I mean? So they got to play the hits. But that song at that time, with the catalog that we had, like, yeah, when we were writing that one, we're like, this is the, like this, like that's getting the crowd, let's jump, Dude, another interesting tidbit about Love Hate is most of those songs were written in a portable studio in the back of the bus. Me and Tobin had a studio set up on Ozfest and mostly Ozfest. And a lot of the demos for those songs came together on that Ozfest. We were like on tour with, it was us, Crazy Town, Linkin Park, Disturbed, Manson, Black Sabbath, Black Label Society, Mudvayne, Taproot was on that one. So many, like, Hatebreed was on that tour. And a lot of those songs, like the core of those songs, even if it was just like verse, chorus, and then like, it falls apart, we didn't know where it was going to go yet. Like, but a lot of the seeds of those songs were, and some of the Black Clouds was probably an example of a song that was pretty well fleshed out on that tour. Like there's a fully arranged demo for me and Tobin, and it's just me playing drums and him and guitar. He actually wrote he writes, I don't know if you guys know this too, but he writes the majority of like the or at least when I was in the band, he would write the guitar riffs, like a lot of the riffs and songs.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And then like Jerry would like take what Tobin starred and then like, run it through his filter and like choose, chord voicings and stuff like that. Or like then Jerry's kind of was the guy that, like on Infest, he wrote Angels. Like that whole like that's all Jerry. Like most of the songs of Tobin, that one's Jerry. On Love Hate Tragedy, he wrote what was that? He'd usually have like one song an album where like the whole song is like that's all Jerry. Forgetting It Was Murder, it was Scars. He wrote Scars.
Wow. I mean, another massive song.
That's why we call him the heater, because he just fucking brings in the heat, dude. It's like, damn, dude. Like
fastballs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fastballs only.
Yeah. It's nuts.
I got a question on the fact that you guys are writing on the bus. I've heard other bands talk about that. I think Nick Hexum had mentioned that they were writing an album on the back of the bus on tour and stuff like that. I've always wondered, because it's come up in a bunch of different interviews or just demoing stuff. Was that by just boredom, or was there a deadline that you had to have a completed product, so you were like, all right, we had a crunch, we might as well do it on the bus type thing? Or how does that come about?
kind of both. I mean, it's not like and like when you talk about the pressure to do the second record, and it wasn't necessarily coming from the label, but like we knew in our own, like, first of all, we were just feeling the songs, like they wanted to come out of us anyway at that time. And so we had no shortage of we had like so many different ideas like getting thrown down on those sessions from the back of the bus. And so we had a lot to choose from when we went into record. But yeah, dude, it was kind of all of that. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily like one particular like force was greater than the other, but like we kind of knew that it was something that we needed to be working on. We knew the label definitely probably had felt some type of way in that direction. And then also like Tobin is just it's like when he's like on a roll, like you can't stop it, at least back in like my era, you know what I mean? So like, I think today he still travels with like some kind of portable kit, and he's always just putting stuff down. And then I would take whatever he started and start arranging it into like a song, like, oh, this sounds like a chorus, and this sounds like, like a B section, or like just arranging, the Legos, you know what I mean?
Fuck, man. It's probably tempting to sound check some of those demos. Like, oh, like no one's gonna hear this shit, so let's see what it sounds like live. Did that ever happen? Or
like how do you mean? Like
so you're riding in the back of the bus, like, and you're like, dude, I wonder what this would sound like over the PA. So let's
I think I want to say let me think, man. So that was on Ozfest. I don't know if we got like we didn't really get like a whole like full sound check every day, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it, like, once you kind of start out early in the tour, you get your sounds and like that, and the engineers are pro enough that like, you're pretty dialed in by the time you hit the stage every day. So it wasn't necessarily like but like I want to say like some of the tours maybe like after that, while we were like doing the Raid the Nation tour and stuff like that, I think some of those some of those ideas would kind of find their way into sound check. Yeah, every now, yeah, of course. You know what I mean?
Nice.
It's like, dude, we just wrote this on the bus, but what does it feel like to actually play
Right.
it in a room with like real amps and shit? Yeah.
Oh, that's what I mean. Because there was like some leaks,
Yeah.
people like go to sound check, like call it. We were talking about Pearl Jam earlier, like, oh, dude, never heard this song. And they're like kind of just testing a song out. And then next thing you know, it's on the next record or whatever, or not. But that shit's controversial, right? Because the record label doesn't want anything to be leaked. So it's like, don't fucking play it. Don't fucking play it. That's why I had to ask.
Yeah, dude. And it's crazy too, because like, that kind of was before, I want to say, it wasn't before the internet per se, but it was definitely before like the widespread, like not everyone just had a cell phone where you could just like, if you happen to be in the venue, you can like throw up a camera and catch whatever's coming off that stage pretty easy. And then it's just on, it's on the internet. It's out to the world, regardless if you want it to be or not. At that point, we hadn't really hit that yet. So we're a little bit more free to kind of like just experiment and just like do, if we wanted to like try something new on stage and then, work out a part or two and then take it back to the back of the bus studio and like, hey, remember what we worked out on stage during sound check? We can throw that, try that in there or whatever.
And this is still early internet, pre-iPhone, being able to like record video. So there was probably less concern than 2015 when you could put it on Twitter in 2 seconds, right?
Absolutely. We hadn't got there yet. So yeah.
So that's nice. So the covers, I gotta ask about the covers. We get Gouge Away, Pixies cover, and then the Faith No More cover too, Naked in Front of the Computer. How did you guys decide on those?
I don't know. I know that when we had come to the end of the session, we were done recording the album. And it was kind of like that moment where Brennan's like, let's just throw, like, what else you got? Like, let's just do a couple covers. And I think it was just very in the moment. It wasn't our first Faith No More cover, because we used to cover Gentle Art of Making Enemies by Faith No More on the Infest tour. Like, there's some shows in Europe where you can actually see we played it on stage. We actually played it on stage in front. Billy Gould was watching us from the side of the stage, and we fucked up the beginning of the song and had to start it over because we were so nervous that he was watching us play. We fucked it up. And then we had covered a few Faith No More songs over the years. I don't know how we arrived at that particular one for that recording session, but I'm glad we did it because it turned out really cool. The Pixies cover, like, we're all just, huge fans of the Pixies since we were teens, in high school. And like, I knew about the Pixies because Kurt Cobain told me about the Pixies, and then, I went and looked into the Pixies and like became a huge fan of the Pixies. They're amazing. And now Joey Santiago, the guitar player from the Pixies, is a good friend of mine. And
wow.
When I first met him and we started broing down, I was like, we covered a song of yours. Like, it's a B-side to one of our albums. And he's like, no shit. He's like, send it to me. So I sent it to him. And I'm talking about Gouge Away for anyone. We haven't said it yet, but Gouge Away is a B-side on Lovehatetragedy. So I sent it over to Joe, and he comes back and he goes, how the fuck is the cover version better than the original? Wait a minute. And then took it back real quick.
Damn.
But it came out of his mouth. I know he said it. He's like, dude,
that's awesome.
He's like, that's really good. So I was like, I got the stamp of approval from Joey. Yeah.
It's an awesome cover. Yeah. I always liked hearing that at the, on the tail end when you get the extra songs and you get a cool cover like that. Just kind of, hey, they had some time to do this and it got cleared and they got to put it out. This is fucking great. And that was my favorite one of those. Dude,
I love that cover too. I mean, out of all, there's the obvious song, the Pixie songs that like everyone knows, like Where's My Mind, Wave of Mutilation, like Here Comes Your Man, like the stuff off Surfer Rosa, Doolittle, and stuff like that. But Gouge Away was kind of a more obscure song. And I think the consensus was that, if we did this, like, because if you notice, like, our version is quite a bit shorter than the Pixies version. There's like a 5.5-minute song, and we took ours down. Ours is like, so I think it's under 3 minutes. So we kind of took like each part and like kind of trimmed it down to like its most like essential, thing. And the song only, it's like we really trimmed it down to like the shortest it could possibly be before it doesn't make sense anymore. Like, and that's why I love it, because I'm like, dude, it's like, we're kind of like, we weren't just like straight covering it. We're kind of doing our own interpretation of it as well,
2:05. That's how long it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Short
and the
and sweet.
original, and And look at the original. Look at the timestamp for the original version.
We're getting confirmation.
Real time fact checking.
Almost 3 minutes. So you guys are like
wow.
40
Oh, the
seconds shy.
original?
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh shit!
Off of Doolittle. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. 240,
I could swear-
242.
Did I come from a? Is this a Mandela effect?
It might be.
Could
right?
be. It could be.
Parents.
Because I swear to
Stained
God,
Bears.
dude, I'm like, dude, I've listened to, yeah, dude, I'm like, that song was like, I know it was like way longer than, anyway. But anyway,
It's almost a minute longer than yours, though. So yeah, it's longer.
the point still stands, man. The point still stands.
So Dave, so you write the record, you record the record. When it's all been recorded and it's been mixed mastered, before it comes out, what are you guys thinking? Like, are you thinking like, is Dave like, we have another fucking banger?
The thing about every record that I've ever put out, especially with Papa Roach, but anything that I've ever worked on, I have to love it first, right?
For
Like,
sure, 100%.
Like if I don't love it, like dude, if I'm like, so like when we worked on Infest, I knew we worked so hard on it and I fucking loved it. And there was parts of it that I thought could have been done better or different or whatever. Like every record's like that, right? But at the end of the day, like in its as a work of a body of work or whatever, like I have to love it. So like, and that's the thing, like people don't realize too, when we're in like pre-production or in the recording process, like all I would ever be doing was like taking whatever we did that day or like whatever we had so far and banging it in the stereo and figuring out like in my car stereo, like either for reference or for like, oh, maybe we should chop this part out of here or like, tighten it up here or work on that or maybe retract certain parts. So literally like I would become obsessed with, and they would be all I would listen to until we were done with it. You know what I mean? So by the time it came out, like I had heard those songs so many times and put so much love and energy into those songs that like, yeah, I thought it was I was like, yeah, like it's, and then, we learned the hard lesson of like, dude, after Infest did what it did and like you said, 1 in a million thing. And then we got more of like a reality check with Love Hate. You know what I mean? Like, I still believe that the record's great. And the matter of fact, and it is a great record. It just didn't it wasn't commercially as successful as the first one. And so a lot of people took that opportunity, especially like the media at the time, like the magazines and shit. They were like, wow, nah. Like they kind of wrote it. They used that as an opportunity to write us off, even though the album, even in its first release, it went gold. Like it was like it went gold like in the first 2 weeks or some shit.
Yep.
Like, and it was like, it's a fucking gold record. Like, how is it a flop? But because it wasn't Infest, a lot like, dude, there were some haters on that record, dude. But I loved it. I love that record. And a lot of people love that record. Matter of fact, I was hanging out with my cousin in LA. I was like at this hipster bar, like somewhere like in Silver Lake. And I was outside smoking a cigarette and like these two, like, this is back in like, I want to say maybe 2011, 2012, 13, somewhere around the like the 2010 era. And you remember like the hipster scene where like they had like the mustache.
Yeah,
wax
mustaches
and the
became people discovered mustaches, Dave.
You know what I'm saying? So like
yeah.
these two mustachioed, flannel, like skinny jean, boot, like as hipster as you could ever want to be, come up to me and they go, "Are you Dave Buckner?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Can we tell you something?" And I'm like, "Okay, like what?" They're like, "Dude, Lovehatetragedy is our favorite fucking record."
Wow.
Love it.
And I'm like, well, fucking hey, dude, the fucking hipsters love it, dude. That's cool, man. Like, it gave me some it's some validation. I'm like, I'm not the only one that, so it's like, it's kind of like the sleeper, like in the catalog, in a lot of ways.
I agree.
Yeah.
Dave, are you into like Mario Brothers back in the day?
I used to be, like when I was a kid. Yeah, I played like Super Mario all day long.
Because you know what Lovehatetragedy is? It's Mario 2.
Oh, yeah.
In the moment, it was written off and it was like left of center and obscure. But the real ones loved it. Like the OGs still loved it. But as time goes on, you're like, Mario 2 slaps. Mario 2 is better than 1,
Yeah, it is.
It's not better than 3, but it's better than 1.
Well, Getting Away with Murder had scars on it. There you go. Like, that makes sense.
It's a great analogy.
Yeah, dude. Not everyone knew how to take that fucking being able to fly with the raccoon tail at first.
No
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Damn.
It's some different shit, and like that was the thing. Yeah, like we handed you some different shit. You know who else did that too? Was like Beastie Boys, like their first major label album, like License to Ill, and then you look at Paul's Boutique, And fucking that record got fucking shit on, dude. Like the press like shit on that record. Like this sucks. You know what I mean? And like, you know, years, decades later, it finally is getting the flowers it deserved. You know what I mean? Like, oh damn, like it's really good. It's actually a really good record. And it set a tone for them. And that's kind of what Love Hate Tragedy did for us too. It's like
Absolutely.
it kind of let you know like where we're coming from. Like we're not just gonna like carbon copy every record and give it to you. Like, you know, we're gonna give you maybe not what you wanted, but what you need. You know what I mean?
Ooh, I
Or
love
at least
that.
what we need. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because it's the record we needed to make at that time. And for us, you know what I mean? And so and I look at that with any record I've ever made. It's like it's always the record that I needed to make. Whatever feelings or messaging or whatever like I needed to get out, you know, artistically, you know, expression wise, that's what I'm most proud of. And you know, as far as like my career, like every record is like that for me. Like it's the record that I wanted to make at that time. And I think the other guys will, you know, basically say the same thing.
Yeah. Well, and we've, you know, from doing this with, you know, a couple hundred people over the course of 6 years, we hear that very often. Those are snapshots in time, right? Like that's the person you guys were in that moment making that record, and you weren't going to stay the same person. And when you try to chase the person you were 10 years ago, it doesn't never works out. It's just not very good.
Right. That's right. Yeah, you're trying to hit a moving target, you know what I mean? Or when you know, like something that was a little nugget of wisdom that was imparted on us a long time ago was like, don't make records that like, I mean, obviously you have to consider the fans, but don't make records that you think like, don't just like, you have to give them a little bit of what they want, but you have to like take care of you first. It's like, you got to put on the oxygen mask for yourself first before you give
Totally
it to
agree.
whoever's sitting next to you. You know what I mean? And like I said again, I'll say it again. It's the record that we needed to make for us at that time and what we wanted to do. And so in that we can still to this day like stand by that and be proud of that. So it's like, yeah, like we did that record like that because we wanted to make it like that.
Yeah. Dude, let's get back to Black Clouds. That might be my that might be
that was a pretty good mic drop, Twat.
That might be my favorite Papa Roach song.
Oh yeah.
Black
yeah,
Cloud.
dude. It's kind of a low key banger, dude. It really like for me, I'll go back and listen to that one too. Like that one and Decompression. Decompression is huge for me. Life is a Bullet. I mean, dude, sometimes like every now and then, like even me, like I'm a little guilty of like I don't show like I'll go back and listen to like my catalog every once in a while, but mostly it's like Infest or Getting Away with Murder or Paramore Sessions if I want to like, wow, let me just relive like the darkest like period of my life ever and just appreciate where I'm at today. Like looking back at that and, you know, looking back from where I'm at now and appreciate like how bad it was for me then. But like with Love Hate, it's like I'll throw it on like to me like I don't know, dude. It's kind of like with Love Hate, it's almost like it's kind of this throwback, dude, to like some like 1970s, like someone like some reviewer who actually got it back in the day. I think had said like it was a pastiche of like Van Halen and like your favorite backyard barbecue rock mixed with like this deep emotional shit. I don't know, whatever the hell he said, like it made sense. I was like, yeah, he gets it. That guy gets it.
It was
like,
someone from Vacaville, man. They
it had to be.
They could sniff it a mile away.
Either that or Kerrang magazine. Boom.
He did it. He finally said Kerrang, Nate. Good job. Drink if you're at home.
Oh man, dude. One thing I want to get into, and I could be wrong here. We could be wrong here, but I think the first promotion run for this record in terms of touring was the Anger Management tour. I don't know if you guys did any gigs before that. In terms of a full on like run, was it the Anger Management tour?
I think you're right. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah, that was like I think that was like the tour for this album.
That's what I remember. Like, that's what we remember. Yeah.
Yeah, and the first time we had done the tour twice. The first lineup was Limp Bizkit headlining, Eminem support, us second to Eminem, and then I want to say
Exhibit. I think
Exhibit, right? Maybe Exhibit, and then somehow or another, I think M acquired the rights to the tour and did it like a year and a half later, and he brought us back, and so it was Eminem headlining, us main support, Ludacris and then the Executioners, the DJ group, and D12 was on that run, I think too.
Yep.
And dude, we had so much fun on those tours, dude. Like, oh my god, dude,
I bet.
if you get a chance to, dude, you know what I'm gonna do, man? Remind me when we get off camera. There's a link I want to send you of something. It's can't say it on air because I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, we can save that for off air. Yep.
But dude, I will send you something. I think you will thoroughly enjoy it, all three of you, and I hope you appreciate it. But there is clips of us like on that tour, the one with Exhibit especially. We never really saw Limp Bizkit on that tour, but we hung out with M and Exhibit a lot. Like we really broke down on that tour. And we used to have this thing, like this nightly, like backyard wrestling session after the show, like where we would like do like, yeah, it was nuts. Like we were just like, we're all, having a little drink and this and that. And like, we would just like do like this fake, like backyard wrestling shit. And like some of it it's on the internet. It's on YouTube somewhere. I think Exhibit put some on his DVD and then there's clips of it on YouTube, but so much fun, dude. Like we just broke down like on that run with those guys. And, just had such a blast, dude. It was amazing.
The fact that you became tight with one of maybe the best MC in history is wild. In his heyday, too.
That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild, dude. It is. I'm looking back on that now. Yeah. Yep.
I ride for Exhibit's Restless. I listened to that a lot in high school.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. X to the Z and we all in the family? What?
Yeah, dude.
So
X
good.
to the Z. Let's go.
We got a picture of him with a Potty Slave sticker somewhere.
We do. And then...
in the archives.
Yeah, we did that, and then we had somebody draw it randomly on Twitter. It was like, send me your profile picture and I'll draw it. And he goes, "This is Exhibit?" I was like, "Yep, it's him. It's just him holding the sticker."
Dope, dude. Dope, man.
Damn.
Yeah, dude. Like when you kind of really think about it, like for me, if I'm just going down memory lane, it's like, dude, like there was a lot going on, in those days with music and stuff that doesn't really happen anymore. Like you don't see tours like that anymore. It's like a lot, you know what I mean?
That's the first thing I thought of is that it's like a one of one time capsule snapshot tour that if it happened today, it probably wouldn't even do well. Like it's a festival date now,
Yeah, for sure. And there was a whole tour back then, you know what I mean? I mean, there was Ozfest, right? But that's like, strictly metal, you know what I mean? And then, but like to mix it up like that was just, and that's, to their credit, dude. And I think that was Fred's idea or Limp Bizkit's camp. They originally had the original vision for that, brought us in. And we just feel so fortunate that we were asked to do that tour and then to do the second one, even though Limp wasn't on it. And dude, God bless Sam Rivers, dude. Like oh man.
Yeah.
I just thought about that. That's wild, dude, that we lost him recently. So rip to Sam, dude. And yeah, it's wild, dude. It's wild.
Yeah, we didn't see you on that run. Obviously didn't come through, Maine. I think Massachusetts got a date for the Anger Management. We did see you on the headline run because you guys actually played Portland, Maine on the at the State Theater.
Yep.
For the Love Hate run. Killer show. We have photos and all the receipts for that one too.
We were doing were we doing the fire drum opening to the show on that tour?
Jeez, you're
where
testing
Kobe
my
comes
memory.
out with like a floor tom and like does lighter fluid on it. Like we were doing like a full like.
I bet you were, but you couldn't at the theater. I'm 100% sure you couldn't do that in the theater in Portland.
Okay, or maybe we had shit canned the whole idea by that time because we had gotten in trouble too many times and they made us stop doing it. Yeah, but the beginning of that tour, we were doing it every night. Yeah, Kobe would come out, throw lighter fluid like on this one of my floor toms, like one of my extra. We brought it with us on the tour, and we do like a whole like fucking crazy like fire drum thing to start. And I think it was I want to say it was Sid. Like we opened the show with Sid.
You opened with Sid. Yep, yeah, I've got the set list right here. You opened with Sid, which is awesome.
What I love about that is you didn't do it for like clicks or views or for the internet. This is pre all that. This is for the moment. Soak it in. It's not for iPhones. It's just like it's just stuff that you guys came up with. It's that punk band from Vacaville. I love it.
That's it, dude. That's it. I mean that kind of ethic is, it's still like it sticks with me even to this day. You know what I mean? Like I do not a lot, but I get opportunities to provide mentorship for like up and coming bands. Sometimes there are local bands here in Boise, or like there's a friend of mine is managing this band down in LA right now, and they just signed a production deal with some pretty rad rad people, and they're huge fans of Roach. And my boy was like, "Hey, dude, like, would you come down into the studio and just kind of like have a chat with them? Like, they would love to meet you, but then also just kind of give them perspective." And so like when I get a chance to kind of do that, like it's a blessing, and it's a great opportunity, because I don't know if like it seems like it is like it's a different world, it's a different mindset. Like people are still coming up and working hard and persevering, and they're going to make it, but it seems like it's a different reality than it was when we were coming up. You know what I mean? And a lot of that kind of punk rock, like stick it to the man, like do it for yourself, like be careful what you wish for, like don't be naive, like like be aware of like the business side of shit too. I'm able to kind of like, I was able to sit down with these kids and kind of really just like explain almost like the same things that I learned in that Steve Albini article in that zine back in the day. Like, look, dude, you're going to be shopping the label. This is how it's going to go. So, like, you don't know this yet, but like, when they give you all this money up front, it ain't free, bro. And the way you pay it back, like, if you're not careful, you'll never pay it back, and you'll never see a dime of royalties. Like, meanwhile, like, at least in my catalog, like my whole catalog, not only recouped, but like that's how I keep the lights on here at home, because we were smart with how we did shit. And all the albums that I played on and wrote and made with Papa Roach are all recouped. We're in the royalty like departed. And then I learned recently that for like only 6% of bands ever recoup their record deals.
Wow.
That's
period.
fucked up. That's fucked up.
Sadly, I believe it. Like,
and even the ones that do, like I had a good friend of mine who's in a really well-known band, and I'm not going to say who it is, but like I was at his house a couple years ago, and he was so excited. He's like, dude, we just recouped our first album, and this album came out in 2000.
Damn.
And he was so excited because he was going to start seeing royalties from it. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. Like, good for you. And then like, he's the one who explained to me, he's like, dude, only 6% of any act in the music business ever recoup their record deal.
That's so funny. Not funny, but
yeah, it's crazy is what it is. You know what I mean?
Well, I was gonna say what
and
predatory, really, but
yeah. I actually just sent these guys a link. I think it was on YouTube from Jared Leto's documentary Artifact, where it goes into that exact thing, where it's like if the debt doesn't paid off, it rolls into the next one and the next one and the next one. Before you know it, you're like millions of dollars in debt to the label, and if they don't want to promote you, they'll shelve you, and the whole thing's fucked up.
All of that,
crazy.
All of that is accurate. Yep.
Yeah.
It's like the worst car loan you could ever dream of. Like where like you don't pay off your first loan, you roll it into a new car.
Yeah.
And then you don't pay off that one, you roll it into your brand new, and like you're just so excited to have a new car, you don't realize like how much fucking debt you're accruing along the way. Like it's pretty much like that in the music business too, man. Nuts.
Yeah. And they're charging for breakage for digital sales and fucking getting so fucked up.
Isn't that wild, dude? Like, what is that?
Yeah, it's just basically they're getting
breaking. Like, yeah,
it's
like,
no one said anything, so they're just gonna get away with it. Fucking insanity.
Yeah,
tour support.
There's no physical product, and they're charging you for physical product. It's insane.
Yes. Manufacturing costs. Like, what? Come on, dude. Come on, bro. Breakage. Like, yeah, like you said. Like, what is that? That is insane. But hey, yeah.
I guess breakage be considered piracy.
No, Nate, stop. We're done with that. We're done with that.
Napster?
Nope. Stop. So how do you look back on it? 21, 22, 23 years, whenever this drops, since it dropped. How do you feel
about Love Hate?
Yeah,
man. It was a time. It was a real time, dude. I mean, I could say it about any of my records. And like you said, and like I've said in other interviews before, like each record is a snapshot of where you're at as an artist and as a writer, as a band. And it was definitely a wild fucking time. And I have so many stories around like the recording of that album. Like, talk about like just running around like fucking heathens, dude. Like, it was insane.
Oh, I bet,
it was insane. We were, cause like, we had like the rules didn't apply to us in any way, shape, or form at that point in our career. And we hadn't yet learned the hard lessons of like, no, like, like you still got to be like cause we can't, it's not like we were like shitty people, but we were having a pretty fucking good time. You know what I mean? and the repercussions and the consequences of that good time hadn't quite yet started to. They maybe were showing a little bit, but it hadn't become real yet. So we were having a pretty wild run on that record.
Well, as you should, as a young person, as long as you know, within reason and can find your way back home.
Yeah, and you know, like for me personally, finding my way back home, you know, meant, you know, an early retirement. You know what I mean? And having, like, realizing, like, for me, like, later on in my story, I began to see the road as a dangerous place, and the music industry almost, like, as a whole, like, I don't really, like, I'm still in it. Like, I'm like, and even with Papa Roach, like, I'm in the camp, like, we do business together and stuff like that. But I'm so grateful that I'm not in the trench anymore. Like, if I still had to do all of that and navigate all of that, it's just the best thing for my mental health to, like, be where I'm at, which is at my homestead in Idaho with my family, you know, still creating here and there, but for the most part, just not really, I'm not in the foxhole anymore. And for me, that's the best place to be.
Yeah, and there's no blueprint for that either. It's like you don't know what it is until you get into it. Truly, you know, no matter what anyone says, and it's a, you know, hands-on experience type gig. Like, no one can really relate unless they've done it. Truly.
Yeah, and I mean, I think even Kobe said it before. He's like, you know, the road is not for everybody, and I think as much as I had dreamt, you know, and it was one of my childhood dreams to live that reality, and I did. I think I had to come to grips with it. Like, yeah, dude, like, maybe this is maybe it's what I want, but it's not necessarily what I like. If I keep chasing this dragon, like, I'm gonna end up, you know, I'm gonna end up on the other side of the lawn or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, we appreciate your candor and your time with all of this, Dave. This has been an absolute blast.
Oh man, thank you, man. It was so fun. Thank you. And I'm just so grateful that, like, that I just saw that it was the Papa Roach is a low key punk band or whatever, however you guys put it, dude. I saw that clip and I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. I'm like, yeah, they get it. They fucking get it. And yeah, I'm just so grateful that, you know, to happen upon that clip and then listen to the pod and then get to know you guys, and for you to have me on, like, I perspective on at least my you know, my little part in all of it. So yeah.
We'll do it again. We can do it again.
This is fantastic. We love this stuff, and you are a perfect guest.
Oh, thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
That. Thank you. I try, dude. And you,
perfect guest.
You know, yeah. Thank you so much, man. If this were 23 years ago, I'm glad they didn't have podcasts 23 years ago, dude, because I don't think
management would be like, stay away from that. The long form interviews, stay away from that shit.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely, dude. But yeah, at this time, in this place, at this place in my life, it's such a blessing and such a beautiful opportunity to come and chat with you guys, and I really appreciate you taking time out from your day. And once again, sorry about last week, and I'm glad we were able to make up for that. So yeah, anytime you guys want to do this again, man.
Yeah, more than made up for. We're all good. We'll have you back.
Yeah, we are down for the future eps, like you said, deep dives, whatever you want to do. Yeah, and been a blast, man. Thanks for coming on. It's a full circle moment for us.
For sure, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Peace.
Thank you for listening to Patio Slave. We are at Patio Slave on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the places that you can find us on social media. Facebook, Patio Slave Podcast. YouTube, Patio Slave Podcast there. Email us at patioslavepodcast@gmail.com. And hey, if you want to become a supporter, click on the link at the bottom of the episode and give us $1, give us $5. It keeps the lights on, keeps us going. We really appreciate that stuff. Thank you.